those kind of people. To my mind, they're full of hatred. Okay, but I think most Christians are not very happy about Paul. Preachers are, but a lot of Christians have worry about his character. He's a bit too slippery for them. Anyway, look at here, on 5. And the disciples came to the other side and forgot to take the bread. And Jesus said to them, take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. We had that in the toilet bowl thing about the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the leaven. But notice, Mark has rather, and the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod. And they reasoned, saying, we have no bread. He says, oh, ye of little faith, it swings back and forth between Mark and Matthew here. Why reason ye because you have no bread? Do you not perceive? Back to Matthew. Neither remember the 5 loaves or the 5,000 and how many baskets ye took up? So that was the earlier episode, the 5,000, right? Neither the 7 loaves or the 4,000 and how many baskets ye took up? How is it you don't perceive that I spake not concerning the bread? But beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Then understood they how, that he bade them not beware of the leaven of the bread, but of the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Now, Mark, having eyes, see ye not? Do you not remember when I break the 5 loaves among the 5,000? How many baskets full of bread? They said unto him, 12. But I think 12 was, I have a note here, that was the number in John. Let's take a look. This is tough, really tough. Let's see. Let's see, Mark. We see 5 and 2. Well, anyway, John. Let's see if I find John 5, 2. Anyway, I think you'll find, as I say, that there are. It's 7 and 5 is 12. I don't know. I have a note, and I can't do it when I'm.
12 baskets in John.
Where's that? Where's that?
John 6.
John 6. And what?
1 through 4, 13.
John 6, line 13?
Yeah.
Okay, and what do the other ones say? They filled how many baskets?
Matthew says 12.
Yeah, Matthew says 12 also.
And Luke.
And John, they all say 12?
Yeah, Matthew.
And here it says, let's see, 7 loaves. Okay. Well, I don't know what point I was trying to make, but in any case, what did Mark say? Did Mark say that they filled 12?
Yeah.
Okay. So they filled 12.
Line 43.
Yeah. And when the 7 among them, the 4,000, how many basketfuls? 7. And he said to them, do you not understand? No, frankly, I don't. Now, the point is that in this later thing, the writer is aware there's a discrepancy between the first miracle and the second miracle, as it's recounted. And basically, again, I have to go through it again on 2 feet, not 1 foot, as I'm standing here now. But take a look at my book. It's a very important episode. It's a feeding episode, and it's a lot of discussion about 3 times this feeding. And what I try to show in my book is this feeding of the people has a lot to do with the Josephus Talmudic traditions of the famine in Jerusalem, Queen Helen buying barley and grain to feed the people of Jerusalem. In Talmudic lore, Nachman and another fellow named Ben Kalba Sabua, who you shouldn't know about, but if you're going to do these studies, you probably should. Ben Kalba Sabua were the rich men who could feed Jerusalem for 20 years or 40 years or 50 years. I don't know how many years they said it was. And we're going to find that which is what tipped me off about all this, that the Ben Kalba Sabua episode appears in Luke in the episode when the dogs come and lick his sores. The bread under the table episode in Luke. I know that's complicated, that we're going to do next time. I know it sounds crazy, but it isn't crazy. That's all I can tell you. It's just so detailed. So that's why the guy writing the letter, you have to go through this with the detail to see where and how this material was developed. So Ben Kalba Sabua means in Hebrew, the son. Kalb, it's actually Aramaic. Kalb is dog, or female dog. The bitch, in other words, the son of the bitch, or the son of the female bitch. And everything points to this is Queen Helen of Adiabene that I make a big fuss about in my work, who converted to Judaism around the time that Paul is making his converts. And Ananias, an unnamed person, gets in among Queen Helen's husband's harem and converts the women. And when Queen Helen's sons find out about this, they want to be converted, but a teacher comes and they're reading Genesis, where Abraham circumcised his whole household, and the teacher asks, do you understand the meaning of what you are reading? And they immediately go out and are circumcised. And I show in all my books how this is parodied in Acts, Ethiopian Queen's eunuch episode. Eunuch being a euphemism for a circumcised person in Roman humor and jargon. And the teacher there is Philip, who also appears in these episodes, who jumps on the chariot of the Ethiopian Queen's eunuch on his way leaving Jerusalem. And he's reading Isaiah 53. And he says, don't you understand the meaning of what you are reading? And the eunuch immediately goes down and is immersed in water and bathes and baptized. And I show that one is a takeoff on the other episode. In any case, I'll explain this more when we get to the feeding episodes, or rather the dogs under the table episode next time. But sabua means in Aramaic, fill, or it can also mean immersed. In Aramaic it's immersed, in Hebrew it's fill. So this is a code, a Talmudic code. These are some of the rich men in Talmudic lore that feed the whole population of Jerusalem from the period of 30 to 40 AD basically, or 50 AD, to the fall of the temple. And when the Zealots come in, they burn all the stores so that the people have no choice but to fight on. Yeah?
Which book did you say this is in?
The New Testament code.
No.
Look in the index. Look in the index under Ben Kalba Sabua and Noctimon, and you'll see a whole host of references there for you. I couldn't make the point I'm trying to make here, but you do see we have this episode of the Numbers 3 times in the Matthew and Mark, twice, once in Luke and John, but basically the numbers differ. And I may say, so what? Because I think the numbers are important to them. They're just sort of juggling things here. Anyway, there is a matter of the 7 becoming 12, and I don't understand where I have the 7 becoming 12. There must be another place. I have a note here. So I don't know. Let's see. Huh? Let's see. In Matthew, how many baskets? Oh, 7. 7 loaves. There it is. It's 7 loaves. Okay. So they don't. Matthew, no, I'm talking about here in Matthew 16. Is Matthew 16 talking about 12? No, he doesn't. I think that's probably it. But anyway, 7 loaves, 12 loaves. Anyway, Matthew, John, Mark is in agreement with John. And as you say earlier, the other ones. We'll have to look at those again. You look through them again, see if you get the relationships. I'll go back and talk some more about the dogs under the table and feeding the dogs and being full again. And watch out for all the full. Then we'll go over to John and we'll do some of the stuff about the room being full of perfume. And then we'll get into all the anointing episodes of all the women who come and anoint Jesus and kiss his feet or anoint him with oil. And there's about 7 different episodes of that. See you next time. Difficult stuff. You'll work on it. I apologize for being confused.